This video will show you how to replace the upper and lower transmission shift cables on a GMC Sierra 2500. These will be located partially in your passenger compartment and partially under your vehicle. Let's get into it. A quick note about replacing these cables. Since they are the updated cables, you need to replace them as a pair. Let's get into it. Now, since we're replacing these as a set, let's start under the vehicle. Okay, friend, let's get started on our job. For safety reasons, make sure you apply your parking brake and chalk in front of and behind your rear wheels. And now let's get started under the vehicle. Now, from under the driver's side of the vehicle, we can see where our engine oil filter is, we can see the engine and our transmission. As you have a look at the transmission pan and make your way up along the driver's side, we can see our transmission shift cable leading directly into this area. If you look up along the driver's side of the transmission pan, this is where we can see our lower shift cable mounting point. Just a quick note about this is the reason why we had to put our emergency brake on. When you go to dislodge this, you could actually shift this lever, in which case the vehicle may roll. To dislodge the cable, we're going to use a small trim tool. You can also use a flat blade screwdriver. We're essentially just prying this out of place. Once you have that disconnected, we need to make sure that we clean and inspect this area, confirming it's not rotted, weak, or damaged in any way. If it is, you're going to want to replace it. For this, I'm just going to use some fine sandpaper. Just give it a light scuffing and confirm it's still in good usable order, of course. Continuing on, we're going to follow the cable rearward. Along the driver's side of the transmission, we can see a metal bracket. We're going to remove the cable from this metal bracket. Use an angled pick. You're going to find that you have a small locking clip up along the upper corner of this that we need to pry up and out of place. There's our small clip. Go ahead and clean that up, give it a thorough inspection, make sure it is reusable. Continuing on, we need to start removing the cable from the bracket. For this, there's two locking clips. There's one up along the top area and there's one down along the bottom. We're going to squeeze those two in towards the center of the cable and carefully pull the cable out and towards the rear of the bracket. Once you pull it back far enough, you should be able to lift it up and out of position. Now the cable does make its way all the way up and above the top of our transfer case here, making its way along the back side. So we'll just carefully start pulling this out rearward. Careful for any wiring, obviously. Now that we have that pulled out of place, let's make our way towards the outside of the driver's side frame. So as we're moving the cable, we can see exactly where it goes out on the outside of the driver's side frame. We're going to start dislodging this. We'll just pry this out of place. There we are, we have that dislodged. We'll confirm that the stud is still in good usable order. As we make our way forward, this is the junction point between the lower cable and our upper cable. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we're replacing these as a complete set, so we're not needing to disassemble from the center here. Let's continue forward. We have another mounting point before we start making our way into the cabin of the vehicle. I have that broken free. We're making our way towards that passenger compartment next. Now in this area, you're going to find that you have a rubber grommet. This is acting as a weather seal to help prevent any moisture or debris making its way into that passenger compartment. We're just going to carefully start pressing this up into the passenger compartment. We can't go very far because it is held down with our carpeting. I'm just going to continue on with my trim tool here. You can use a flat blade screwdriver. We're just pressing this up and in. At this point, I'm going to take the lower portion of the cable and I'm going to have it hanging underneath this area directly below the port, leading up into that passenger compartment. Now, as we make our way up into the passenger compartment, the cable does make its way under the carpeting, but before we start making our way there, we're starting with dislodging the outer aspect of the dash, then we're going to remove the lower panel as well. To remove this outer panel, I'm using a plastic trim tool. We want to try to make our way in between the panel and the dash itself and gently pry away. Once you have that pulled away, of course, a quick inspection along the inboard side to confirm it's not damaged in any way. Now we can start removing this panel as well. You're going to find that you have hardware down along the bottom. Now, as we make our way underneath this area, on my application, I have a 10mm bolt hidden up inside of this port. And as I make my way towards the passenger side, I have a Phillips head screw. At this point, the lower aspect is broken free, but up along the top, there's several locking clips. As for those clips, we're going to take hold of the panel and pull straight rearward. You do not want to try to pull down, you're going to cause damage. Once you have that separated, we're making our way along the back of the trailer switch here so we can disconnect our electrical connector. Obviously, we're being aware of our wiring harness. Along the top area, I have a locking tab. Just go ahead and squeeze that in and pull it out of place. Of course, a quick inspection for corrosion, and we'll set that panel aside. Now, with that plastic panel out of the way, we're looking just below our steering column. As we make our way down, we can see where our upper cable leads into our shifter. We're going to pop this free using a small prying device. Once again, you can use a trim tool or a flat blade screwdriver. A thorough inspection. This looks good. No rust or anything here. Now, continuing on, we're going to have to look further down towards the front. And as you look along the bottom of the steering column, we can see that we have another one of those metal clips holding our line in place. Now, as we follow that cable rearward, you're going to find that it mounts into another bracket on the steering column here, and we have another one of those metal clips that has to be removed. I'm just going to use my angled pick. We'll pull that out of place. There's our metal clip. Now, just like with the lower cable, we have to squeeze in those two locking tabs and we're going to pull this out of place. As I'm pulling the cable, we can see that it makes its way along the back side of our steering column. You're going to find that you have a metal U-shaped bracket on either side. The cable will slide out of position, and then we'll start pulling it towards the driver's side. There we are. Now, as we start tugging on this cable, we're going to find just along the steering column, lower aspect, where we have our steering shaft, we have a metal bracket. We're going to have to finagle the cable out and through this area towards the driver's side. Can be a tight fit. Slide that right out of there. Okay. Let's make our way out from under the dash, and we're going to pay attention to our door sill. We'll remove that plastic panel using our plastic trim tool. It has several locking tabs. This just presses straight down, so we're lifting it up. We can see all of our locking tabs. This looks good. We'll set it aside. Now, with that out of place, we're going to continue on with the side kick panel here. When you go to pull this out of place, it's going to pull straight rearward. You're going to find it also pulls on the hood release handle. So with that said, we need to make sure that we re-close our hood once we've completed this service. Take hold of this panel. There we are. There we are, 2 locking tabs. A quick inspection and we'll set that aside. At this point, we can take hold of our carpeting. We can see that the cable does make its way down into this area towards where that rubber grommet is. Go ahead and carefully start pulling that carpet out of place. So we'll take hold of that cable. We'll pull it into an area that we can easily gain access. Now at this point, we can take hold of our rubber grommet. We've already started poking this through, and we'll finish removing the entire cable by pulling it straight up and into the passenger compartment. There it is, friend. Prior to installation of any brand new part, of course, we want to make sure we clean and inspect our mounting area. We have the port that leads down through the body of the vehicle. It's common to have a little rust here. We want to make sure it's not rotted and weak in any way. Being aware of any sharp edges. This feels good. We've already inspected the 2 other areas that the cable will mount to, one up underneath the steering column and one down at the transmission. So let's continue on with our installation. Let's start the installation with our upper transmission shift cable. We have the very end. We're going to take this, bring it up and over that steering column towards the passenger side of the steering column so we can eventually attach the end here. As we make our way here, we're going up and over the driver's side of our metal bracket. We're also making our way through the center of our passenger side metal bracket. Just keep on pushing this through. And we can start pivoting this down along the steering column to its next mounting point. Now that we have it through the forward metal bracket, we're making our way along the steering column, heading towards the steering wheel. We need to make sure that we bring the cable through its mounting bracket here as well. For this, we're going to carefully flex the cable. Of course, you do not want to bend it or damage it in any way. Attempting to get the right angle here. Once you feel as though you do have it pressed through the bracket, attempt to pull it out of place. It should not fall out of place. Once you're sure that that's secure, we're going to lock it in the proper placement using our small metal clip. The metal clip needs to make its way in between those locking ears, gently pressing them outward so this cable will not loosen up. So I've got the clip started in there. Obviously, we do want to make sure that's properly secured. You can use some pliers or tap on it with a hammer, whatever's easiest for you. Just triple check that cable. It is secure. Now I have that in place. Let's continue rearward. We're going to connect this to the lever along the bottom of the steering column. Now as you bring it in, you want to confirm that it's secure. You don't want it to fall off. Press it in. We hear an audible click. As you can tell, it does not pull out of place. This is exactly what we're looking for. Now, one last quick inspection in this area, and we can start bringing this cable underneath our carpeting and through the floorboard of the vehicle. As we bring the cable down, you're going to find that it has a channel that it needs to lead along all the way down to the port in the floor. Just take the far end of the cable. We're carefully bringing it down. Obviously, we don't want to cause any damage to the end. Continue with your rubber grommet in this area. We need to press it in and confirm we have a good seal, so no moisture or debris make its way into the passenger compartment. Now, once you have the cable through there, attempt to give it a wiggle. We're trying to pull that seal out. It should not fall out of place. Now, as I mentioned, the cable does have to fit in that groove, and then we'll continue on with our carpeting over the top. Let's just double check to make sure the carpeting's properly in place and it's not bunched in a way that's going to restrict our ability to use either one of our pedals. Now it's time for our side kick panel. When we go to install this, of course, we do have the port for our hood handle, but we also have the areas that have our 2 locking tabs. Now, if you were looking at the body of the vehicle, we can see our hood release handle, and we have the 2 ports for those tabs. We'll start bringing this into place. As we bring it in, we're going to have to carefully reach in. We're pulling on the handle. We should be able to slide it through the port. After that, we're aligning our tabs and we're pressing this straight forward, locking it in. Now it's time for the panel that goes directly underneath our steering column. If you have the panel that has the trailer brake switch, we're going to have to reconnect that electrical connector along the back side. We have our locking tab facing up, pressing it in until we hear an audible click. Now we can continue on with pressing the panel into place. What you're going to find is you have 3 locking tabs on the panel itself. 2 along the top, 1 on either side, and 1 in the center on the bottom. For the center one, we can see that we do have a slot right down here, and the upper ones, you have the slot on the dash making their way across, 1 on either side. Line it up, press it in. Once you have it secured, it's time for our 2 pieces of hardware down along the bottom. Starting over on the passenger side, we have our Phillips head screw. Now we're making our way towards the driver's side. We've removed a 10mm bolt from up in this port. Now it's time for the side plastic panel. As for this plastic panel, we have 3 locking tabs on this as well. Looking at the dash, you can see exactly where those tabs will sit into. Line it up, press it in. When we go to install this panel, we'll start with the bottom, rolling it into position along all other areas. See our locking tab there. Double check to make sure that's secured in place. Now we're making our way down to our door sill. As for the door sill, looking along the bottom, we can see that we have 4 locking tabs making their way across. And as you look at the body of the vehicle, you're going to find that you have your slots for those tabs. We're going to come in at an angle, starting with the inboard side. We're going to start pressing this down, locking it in. You're also going to find on each corresponding trim panel next to this, there's a small locating tab port. We need to make sure everything aligns here as we continue on. This feels good. Just a couple light taps. Double check to make sure it feels as though it's secured all the way across. Now let's make our way under the vehicle. Now from under the vehicle, we're going to pause on our upper cable and we're going to move along to starting the installation of our lower cable. Now it's time to install that lower cable. For this, we're starting along the back side of our transfer case. We're going to take the forward side of the cable, that's the side that has the circular port, and we're going to bring it up and over the transfer case along the driver's side of the transmission. As I make my way along the transmission, we want to make sure we go underneath our transmission lines. We're continuing on all the way down towards the end here. Of course, we do want to stop at our bracket. When we do make our way through the bracket, of course, we're going to make sure we lock this in with our metal locking tab. Now we are in the proper placement under the lines. Along the transmission, we see our bracket. Just as with the upper portion of the line, we need to make sure we secure this with our locking clip. Now that I have the clip in there, I'm just going to double check to make sure the cable is secured in that bracket. Prior to making our way towards the front lever on the side of the transmission and connecting the cable, we like to connect the ends of our upper and lower cables first. Just take that lower cable, we're going up and over the driver's side frame. As we start bringing this over towards the driver's side, we're going to connect our two cables together. Now the end of this cable will have to go into the upper cable, but before doing so, we want to remove our plastic locking collar. So for this, take hold of the large collar, slide that forward, it's sliding up, and now you should be able to pull this out of place. I'll pivot this. If you were looking inside of this, you can see exactly where the tip of the lower cable needs to slide into. Let's take the two cables, line them up, press them together. There we are. Listen for an audible click, attempt to pull it apart. You should find that the internal cable does not separate. The outer portion should be able to move. This is the adjustment point. Now that we've done that, let's pause in this area and we're going to make our way back down to the transmission next. Now at this point, you can adjust the length of the cable anywhere we need to go here, and we don't have to adjust the lever to match the cable. Go ahead and line it up, press it in. Once you have that pressed in all the way, double check to make sure it's secured. It should not fall out of place. Now we're making our way back to that halfway point in between the two cables so we can install our locking clip. Now in between the two cables, we're going to make our adjustment here. I'm pulling on my white collar, bringing it forward. At this point, I have my upper cable and my lower cable. We're going to continually press them in towards each other. We want to make sure we install our plastic clip approximately halfway down the threaded portion of this area. As for this plastic clip, we're going to line it up and press it in. Keep that collar forward. That should press all the way in. Okay, so we're pressing that in as far as possible. Now we're going to take this and we're going to slide it over the top of that, and it'll prevent that from sliding out on its own. We can start securing our cable on our application. The cable was mounted to this stud here, so I'm going to line this up and we'll press it straight up into position. We can make our way to the forward mounting point. Line it up, press it in. Let's double check to make sure everything's secured in place so nothing gets damaged while we're driving down the road. Make sure your hood's secure, and we'll make our way into the passenger compartment. From in the passenger compartment, we'll make sure we disengage our parking brake, and of course, make sure we can shift through all gears. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.